Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition of 3 Live Canes. As always, I'm Chris. The box there denotes that over there. It's a box that says Bill. He's right up there. Steve will be down here in this vicinity very soon. Here to talk to you guys about another week in Miami Hurricanes football. We have a fortuitous week in terms of getting a new commitment. Extra fortuitous if you hate the SEC and the Georgia Bulldogs, because he was a former commit that was headed over there to Athens and decided to switch gears and head to Coral Gables. I mean, leaving Georgia for Miami seems to be a pretty easy decision if it's my thought, but hey, you never know. Some people have crazy thoughts. But Jontavius Wyman, we'll talk about him. We have the spring game. Not real exactly football, but football adjacent activities headed up the end of this week, so that's exciting. On the heels of another scrimmage that from this past weekend, we'll talk about that, what we expect from the spring game, and of course, like another week of draft talk, Cam Ward, and all that coming up there. But before we get to any of that fun stuff, and before Steve-O gets on, I'll go to Bill. Bill, how you doing tonight?
I'm big chilling, a little stuffy. It's allergy season up here in New Jersey, so as but the fans don't. It's my kryptonite. The whole family has it, but big time commit, which is great. I talked about the spring game. It doesn't sound like we're going to be able to watch it though, which is just silly nonsense. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit too. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of like a rite of passage, right? Mid-April, whenever the spring game is. I know the schedule shifted a little bit, but kind of like a rite of passage into the summer, sets the tone, gives you a little taste, but this new era of college football, just another bullet point in the ridiculousness era that we're in.
Yeah, I remember when it was like we said, Bill and I not being from Florida. The only way for us to watch the spring game when we were young was the dude who used to record it like on his camcorder, and he used to sell like DVDs of it.
Yeah.
Whoever, like you'd set the mail $5 to some random dude, and the dude would just mail you back like a DVD in a case and be like, "Oh, it's a spring game." And every year it was like a rite of passage, like it's even a rite of passage, but everyone was all excited, like, "Oh, they sent the spring games out, guys. Pay attention to the mail, you'll get it." But it was really cool.
I remember being very excited to see was it Kevin Olsen, the quarterback? I remember getting that DVD after you watched it, walking over to my house, being very excited to see Olsen. And that didn't quite work out the way everyone wanted it to, but that's okay.
Still got to see it. That was the exciting part of it. CF Kane fan says, "What's the odds that Steve would do laundry early or be sporting a new polo tonight?" If I had to guess, if he's running late, that means he's at the field. I'm going to go 70% he's going sleeveless shirt, 30% hoodie, black Miami hoodie.
I'll go white long sleeve tee.
White long sleeve tee. Hey, if you're right, if you jump in the chat and you're right about what Steve-O is wearing, you get to be the first guest picker next season.
Ooh.
First guest picker. If you got to write that down on your list of things. So throw your guesses in. We'll play the intro. We'll get a little time while Bill finds a pencil. Feel free to toss your guesses in there, and we'll take a shot at what Steve-O's wearing when he comes in there. Backing up. How you doing? Thank you guys for joining us here on a Wednesday for 3 Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Urban's got it. Urban's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big games.
Hard dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Got two candidates so far. Cesar Iglesias. It's colder in Orlando tonight. I'm going to go hoodie. CF Kane fan going with a black T-shirt with just a U on it. Very good. Backing up, St. Steve comes in wearing a black anime T-shirt. I mean, not what he wears the rest of his time. Just casually walking around the house. watching an anime on his iPad, but we'll never know. But we'll throw it in there. A lot of good guesses. Feel free to toss some more in there. I'm feeling pretty good about the sleeveless shirt. If I had to make one guess, I'm gonna go sleeveless because I think he did it a couple weeks ago. He's feeling really confident in himself. He might just break it out again. Like, sorry guys, at the field running routes. That's what it is. But speaking of running routes, a guy who's not going to be running routes, but certainly be watching a lot of them in coverage for Miami in a couple of years is Jontavius Wyman. How about that, Bill? With that little transition there.
Very smooth, very smooth.
That's what we're all about. So smooth that Miami, I was able to pull him from Georgia, get him out of the SEC country, get literally out of the SEC state, one of the states most associated with the SEC, and just like bring him down to the University of Miami. Great job. Anytime you can get a guy from Georgia, especially a guy playing cornerback, certainly an opportunity to boost your talent, especially coming into next year. A guy that a lot of people really, really think highly of. If you look at his composite rating on 24/7, I mean, if you look at his 24/7 rating, and then you see it, the composite below it, I feel like it's almost usually the opposite, where 24/7 might be high in a guy, but the composite is whatever. But the opposite of that, we have 24/7 being okay, but the composite being 4-star, 93, I think, in terms of average rating. So really high up there. But we'll play some film from him in a second. But Bill, just thoughts in general about pulling in Jontavius.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia, prioritized him. I think he's been committed since like last summer or something ridiculous like that. But he's a little on the smaller side, so I saw bagging him, maybe a slot or safety, but he's also plays receiver. He has quite a few highlights at receiver. I think looking at the last 10 or 15 years, we really lacked playmakers at corner. We've had some good ones, guys that could make a couple interceptions here and there, but we really haven't had that guy that could really instill fear in the opposing offense, where if they're a threat to get a pick six or make an interception and house it, things like that. So Baggett just said great, good instincts, good ball skills. You see him making plays on offense here, but we need guys, right, especially in today's era of football, where your defense isn't going to be able to stop teams all the time, right? There's no shutdown defenses anymore. But if you get a guy that could get his hands on the ball, get picks, even turn those picks into points, that's a huge difference. And he has the potential to do that, based on what we see and what we're reading about him so far.
Yeah, I think backing up reference, the instinct size ball skills, good length, and I that when you look at a class like a draft class, that's when you get all the measurements and stuff, right? Beforehand, when we see the guys coming from high school, we have to kind of guess at things as far as what is his arm length, what's this, what's that, what's accurate measurements, all these kinds of things. But then eventually you get it. I think one of the more recent but I think more effective ways of evaluating corners is you don't need a guy who's like, there was a while there where they were like, oh my God, we need 6'2", 6'3" corners to combat all these 6'3", 6'4" receivers. I mean, the NFL is moving away from the giants at the receiver position. I remember 20 years ago when the first round of the draft was 6'4" receiver, 6'4" receiver, 6'4" receiver. You guys got Reggie Williams. The Lions got Roy Williams.
And then Mike Williams was mixed in there.
Mike Williams, I think, was a year after that. And but it was just tall dudes at receiver and we're going to make this work, right? Now you're getting a lot of those guys that are the 6'1s, but the solidly built, those guys that are the number one receivers, the guys that can run really good routes. So I think they're going from prioritizing height, which really isn't the greatest thing in the world for a corner, because especially the guys that are kind of high cut. You're going for exactly what Bagging Up said. Can't redirect transition. You're getting guys that aren't necessarily of great height, but have the arm length, have those kinds of things to be able to make up for mistakes. Guys that aren't high cut, guys that are built normally, but that couple extra inches on the arm, not a bad thing. And I think that's what we got here. And it maybe doesn't have the elite straight line speed, but with the valuing of the slot position, you get a playmaker, a guy that can get out there and make an impact for you. You can see an instant boost to your defense. And I don't know if we had like a guy that we've really loved in that true slot DB, that true nickel position where, we've seen some other teams use it really, really effectively. I know Ohio State, talk about their secondary. Like, you can go all day about their secondary, right? The Denzel Burke's going to get drafted. Benison on the other side is a solid player. Lathan Ransom is going to get drafted. Caleb Downs is arguably the best defensive player in the country at any given moment. And then you had a dude named Jordan Hancock, who was vital to their success, both moving back to safety when Ransom went down for a little bit, but also being their slot corner. He's a legitimate starter on that defense, a phenomenal defense last season. So, like, these are positions that are valuable. And I agree with Baggin that this might be his ideal spot, a guy that can go and just kind of use his length to just exactly like you saw in that play right there, use his length to disrupt, get into the backfield, make plays, keep him as close to the ball as possible. Don't ask him to sit out there on an island, because you have your really pure athletes who can go out there on the island, especially at the high school level. But maybe down the road, we know a guy that could be that jack of all trades on the interior. So, but that's my thought, and I reflect a lot of what people have said, from comments about it.
Yeah, it's interesting with the nickel, especially because you are in, essentially have 5 DBs on the field, pretty much almost the entire game, right? Except for,
Right.
Probably limited circumstances. You're not running a, 4-3 anymore, or, 3-4, whatever. So, the last, truly dynamic corner that we had, I think, D Money and I think, Peter were arguing about it or talking about it on one of their pods, but, going back to like Cornelder, it's kind of like the last like dynamic type corner that we had. I would even probably take a step further and be like, we probably really haven't had that since, Philip Buchanan, even, and that's 24 years ago now. Crazy, crazy to think about. We've had good corners, but, truly just dynamic corners. And, you
mean like a playmaking corner, like a guy, like a take it to the house, that kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
Because you had your intro roles and those guys, Kelly Jennings, excellent players.
Like Jackson.
Yeah.
Even, Artie Burns, he wasn't necessarily, he had tons of athleticism, but, so we'll see where he projects, but I think him at the nickel, you're still chasing some other guys, but Jalen Waters just shut down his commitment today. He said he's not taking any more visits. He's probably your more prototypical outside corner. Then you have Camden Portis as well. So your cornerback class is coming together. Maybe you take another big fish, or maybe one of these guys. After evaluation, they projected safety, so there's some movement going on. But you really have to like what the new DB coaches Etheridge and Harris are doing so far.
Yeah, you have guys there. All the guys you're getting. We're talking 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", all with length, all with good size. Guys that can play these spots and play in the modern game. It's what you want to see, and you're also getting them from. You got Jalen Waters from Armwood going up in the Gator territory. You got a dude from the Georgia. You got Camden Portis. Obviously, he's not from Miami, but he's got ties to Miami. But he went out to North Carolina and got getting these guys and finding talent all over at the corner position is valuable. You always want to get your South Florida superstar. I think that's always going to be part of the equation when you talk about defensive backs. But it's one of those things where every year we talk about. Get the stud South Florida corner. Like, we have not been able to pull in a stud South Florida corner in quite a while. But when you do, you got to make it work. Just like sometimes you have an instinct about something, you got to go out and recruit the talent and make it work. And sometimes it just clicks for you. And with that, I bring in Steve-O. I see him in a little prep area. I know what he's wearing. Billy, one last final guess. What Steve-O's got on?
I'm sticking with mine.
What'd you say?
Long sleeve white tee.
Boom.
Short sleeving today. I was about to go long sleeve green tee, but I'm sleeveless. I just long practice longer than usual.
Steve-O, we had a guessing game in the chat. What was Steve-O wearing today? Bunch of people threw ideas out there. Bill said the long sleeve white tee. We have
What we got in here?
CF Cesar Iglesias said it's a little chilly out in Orlando. He said hoodie. CF Kane said black t-shirt, just a U on it.
That was close.
That's
Black
close.
t-shirt. Yeah, that's
Bagging up, thinking black anime shirt.
Nah, those is vibing. I only got a select few anime shirts. Those is vibing.
But someone did say Steve-O's out at the field. That's why he's late. Out working with the guys. I bet he rolls up with a sleeveless black shirt on. Who said that?
I think I did.
You did not, Bill. I did. I did.
Yeah, had to shower up real quick and then jump on.
I felt it I was like, I knew it, Steve. I was like, Steve-O's out working at the field. This is a short sleeve day because Steve-O's going to come in feeling really good about himself. He was just working out a little bit at the field. He's like, I'm going to show the gun to the people.
Yeah, I'm doing coaching 12U Tuesday through Thursday, helping my boy out over there at Hollywood Power Hit Squad 12U. And boy, I am starting from the bottom with them boys. Fundamentals. And they getting it. It's been about 3 weeks I've been working with them. I got a little jit out there. Saucing. I got a candidate or two that gonna be playing with us on the road once they get older for sure.
Steve, like what's are you working with? Just receivers, corners, that kind of thing, or just with everybody?
Everybody, but we do individual drills, and I get anybody who's a skill come over here. Your footwork, your knee work. Let's get it.
How about this, Steve? Because we just happen to be talking about South Florida corners just now, talking about our cornerback commit. I'll get your thoughts on this second. But number one issue you see with the young kids playing corner that you feel like you have to correct?
It's alignment, assignment, attention to detail. Like today, we did one-on-ones at the practice, and I have to tell them where to line up at. I'm like, it's one-on-ones. We supposed to be inside shape. I want your outside shoulder literally vertical right across from that receiver's inside shoulder. Oh man, I was coaching DBs today more than my receivers. My receivers cooking. I taught them one release. I was like, yeah, we do this every time. I don't care. If they're pressing, we split. Don't split. I'm gonna split you. Because your mama not here. So we getting it right. And I was coaching the DBs, bro. They need I'm like, yo, opposite hand, come on. You taking away the inside, bro. Let's move our feet. Like, what's the point of having inside leverage if we just gonna give it up? Like, come on, it's one-on-ones. Look this way and then look this way. You see the sideline right there? You see the sideline way down over there? Let's protect that side. Like, let's do that. Like, just trying to teach them mentally, how we do it. And so it was a rough day at corner today. Them boys was getting cooked. We did some really good individual drills today. Them boys' footwork was right. We were talking post corner 7-4. 4. I'm getting these kids get that sauce. But yeah, tough. It's tough playing corner down here, bro. Especially just down here in general. You have to go against great athletes. But yeah, that's the biggest problem with the young corners. Just alignment. You'll get blown by no matter how good you are if you're lined up on the wrong side. If you're lined up wrong technique, if you're playing wrong technique, if just that type of stuff. But I guess it's leading to a not so good part of the conversation about why the good ones down here aren't coming.
Well, it's a big part of it, right? But on the bright side, Miami has been successful going out and finding talented guys from outside of South Florida. We already looked at our class. We have a dude from North Florida. We have a guy with ties to Miami, but technically from North Carolina in terms of where he's playing ball right now. But Miami did add a big commit for the 2026 class in Jontavius Wyman, come all the way up in Georgia, bringing the dude down, just committed to Georgia for quite a long time and having him flip his commitment to the University of Miami. Steve, I don't know if you had a chance to get deep into Wyman's tape just yet, but do you have any initial impressions?
I got a heads up, but I was already on the road. We had a tournament this weekend in Orlando. There's two consensus I have about that's around him, that he's a dynamite athlete. Everywhere you go, they say that. They're like, yo, he's the cream of the crop when it comes to athletics. That kind of fits. When you look at these schools, they all have traits. Georgia, they want the most athletic DBs. That's what you're looking for, the all-around perfect athlete, because you have to be the best athlete on the field if you're playing corner at a high level. Let's be real. So that's the type of mold that he fits into. And then secondly, they say he's very, very coachable and skilled. So when you put those two together, that that has potential to bloom. Like that's just what people say about him. He's very skilled, very coachable. You could tell him something once and he's getting it. That's the type of kid you could develop quick. You could fast track him. That was an OJ. OJ came in, he was ready. You could develop him quick. He's ready to learn. He won't see people making that mistake in front of him, and he won't make that mistake. You don't even have to tell him. He getting that coaching by you coaching somebody else in front of him. So that's the type of kid. That's the type of stuff I like. You're not going to really, is it going to wow the fans more than, this kid's a dynamite athlete? But, bro, that means you can come in and you could expect for him to compete early. That's what you want. How we struggle with some South Florida DBs? Yeah, but we've also gotten some good ones. Damari Brown's going to be really good this year. If it wasn't for injuries, he would have been really good for us last year. OJ Frederick, come on. So we're getting some of these good ones. Chris Ewald just got in, so I get it. But let's relax a little bit. Zaquan and Amari Wallace were crown jewel safeties down here. We got them. So let's slow the narrative down just a bit and then be like, the J-Rock stuff, I get it. I mean, I'm happy where he's going just personally for me, but I understand that there was a time where we were the front runners for that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things changed, as in we brought in a bunch of corners from the transfer portal, and then he jumped up a class. So it's hard when you just bring in 5-6 DBs, and now a kid that you were selling out on just jumped up a class, and now you're looking around like, bro, we don't have no spots. It's a lot that went into that. I'm happy for him. I just saw Ben Sunday, and he looks good. So that's that one that hurts. They ain't no way around that. But we're doing good. We're getting some of these South Florida DBs, and the ones we get, they just got to pop. They got to be a stud. Daryl Porter was one of our best corners. He's from down here. We got to get him in the transfer portal, so we can get him directly out of high school. But we got some guys down here that that have and fit that mold of being great South Florida DBs. We just have to click it, put it together. We saw OJ put it together. We saw Damari do it in spurts as a freshman. Obviously, last year he barely played, so his body is looking the best I've seen him. I mean, Damari looks huge. I saw him on the sideline not that long ago, last week or so. So he's looking great. I think you just have to just look at that room and watch how it plays out, because I think some of those South Florida corners in that room are going to actually DBs, I should say, because there's not that much corners. We have more, a couple more safeties, but it looks like it's going to be all right. I think the proper coaching is going to help too. And then when D linemen aren't stunting the whole time and getting pressure on the quarterback constantly, you'll be surprised how great the defensive backs just look.
Yeah, and it's kind of the natural progression, right? Your defensive line can get pressure, create mismatches, create problems, and the DBs have a chance to make plays. You speed everything up. You're not forcing them to cover for, 5-6 seconds. You can get the quarterback a little bit quicker. Then Bill, I'll go to you real quick on it before we swing back to Steve-O. On Steve-O's point that a lot of guys in there right now, and maybe that also scared off, J-Rock a little. Not scared off, I shouldn't say that, but it made the path a little bit hazier early on for him.
Yeah, when you get Xavier Lucas, freshman All-American, who we all knew was like that coming out when he was at Dillard, and then he obviously went to American Heritage for his last year, so they gave him a bunch of stars. But everybody named Mama knew that Lucas is like that, and that's one of those cream of the crop top South Florida corners that didn't have the rankings coming up. But if you talking on the street, they know. We know. I've told y'all countless times about him back when he was rocking 25 at Dillard, and no one knew who he was, and everybody was on Anton Jackson and CJ, and I'm like, yo, do y'all not know about Lucas? Moving. But so it gets down to it. It's okay, bro. We're getting them. I'm not really too worried about it. And with a new DB staff, I think this is probably the best room that any new DB coach at Miami's walked into. I can't think of a room that was better that Coach Adai walked into. No, not for sure. Maybe you could argue Coach Rumpf. He walked into a pretty good room. Corn Elder, Michael Jackson, he took a little time to develop, but Bandy. So, he walked in a good room, but this is probably the best room for DB coaches to just come in at Miami. So I think they should hit the ground running. You have a Lucas, you have a Brantley, who just is a lightning bolt on the field. He gives a lot of energy. he's not from South Florida, but he got that South Florida swag for sure. I like players who wear it on their sleeve. It gets, some juice. So I mean, you got Connor, you got you got OJ, you got you have Ewald coming in pressing for snaps in the nickel immediately. You have all these guys and components, and it's probably the best DB room a brand new coach could walk into at Miami, at least since I've been alive.
Bill, thoughts on the corner room and like the idea that it could be the best we've had in recent memory?
Yeah, I mean, I think if not, this year, I think next year, because, pretty much every guy that, Steve-O just, listed, has multiple years of eligibility left. So, Lucas, OJ, O'Connor, Carnley, right? Weezer, you throw Zaquan in there as well. And then, the freshman behind him, all those guys have multi-years left. So, I think kind of this year, you'll kind of see some of those glimpses, those flashes. You'll definitely, I would hope, a pretty significant step forward, right, in the production and not having one of the worst defenses ever. But, I think probably for that 2026 season is when it's like, hey, this is like nationally one of the best, or, it definitely has that potential because OJ, Lucas, those are, high level, high traits guys. Connor's, already, very well thought of, and then, a lot of growth from the safety room as well. So this year, I don't know if it'll be, one of the best that, we've seen, because we grew up in the, late 90s, early 2000s, but I think 2026 is kind of what we're looking towards, is, being in that conversation.
You go out to practice, you don't see no ducks, bro. Not to be mean or belittle anybody before, I'm not gonna say no names, but you go to practice. I was there the other day. We ain't got no ducks at DB. Like it's good reps on good reps. So it's getting the receivers, forget quarterback play and receiver play, just great cornerback reps. They do so much for you. They help your quarterback speed up their processing. They help their receivers, create more separation, or understand that the little key detail that they messed up on is the reason why this corner was able to get on top of it. I mean, so this really, the floor, in my opinion, is way higher than it's been. I mean, you got freshman safety like Amari Wallace just making play after play after play. It's just like there's no ducks. They might be young, but they're not ducks. They can come in and play. Like, there's been times where you were scared to throw a guy out there that was young, and you're like, oh, he needs a little bit of time to develop. And then, bro, we got kids. We deep in DB. I think we don't have no ducks there. If some of these kids play a little bit more, it's probably because they earned it, because everybody's good in that room, at least when you're looking at the top. And then obviously you have some guys that are younger that you're trying to see, like a Mac, who has really good footwork and projects as a really good man corner in our system. You have that upper tier that there ain't no ducks, and you have some good players that are showing you flashes already of their development. It's not just, oh, we see it years away. Like, nah, We're seeing it every day get better and better at practice.
So, Steve, when you're like planning this out, now you mentioned before the chance of the young guys getting maybe looks, Ewald getting looks at nickel. When you're planning this out, you know what your outside corners are. Like, you have your ideal world. Like, how do you plan for the nickel position specifically? Because, like, in recent memory, like, no matter what school you look at, different defenses, obviously we don't have, like, a perfect view of what this defense is going to be. But, like, what kind of skill set are you looking for that nickel guy? Because we've had some outside guys slide in and maybe a good fit, not a good fit.
You have run fits, just like a weak side linebacker. So you got to have somebody who can tackle. I mean, Does he have to be Sean Taylor? No, obviously. Well, obviously no. But you have to be able to put your nose in there. I mean, and it depends on if you want to go more big or more true 4-2-5. So if I'm going more big, you would look for a Romeo Finley type, who I thought played that position perfectly. I thought he set the standard, and then it fell off a cliff after him.
Yeah.
But if you're going 4-2-5, look. Like in the ACC, a lot more slots, not more big tight ends. Like if you're an SEC Big Ten, you might want to go with that bigger safety nickel look. But in our conference, ACC's filled with undersized speed demons. That's just our area where they can get some slow guys, fast guys from North Florida, South Florida, Georgia. They can get speed here in the ACC. They might be a little undersized, and so they weren't high recruits that go to the SEC, but they come in that bit and they're blazing. So a lot of people don't like Corey Couch, didn't like him. I bet y'all wish y'all had him last year when you was watching us at nickel. Like, I bet, because we ran the same defense. It's just now our nickel was just getting toasted, like toasted. So I bet y'all wish y'all had Corey then. That's my type of nickel, a Corey Couch, a Jaden Davis more, because Jaden Davis had just a better tackling. Corey Couch could tackle, but just wasn't as consistent. So I'm looking for sticky man corners who could tackle just enough, even if it's just a wrap up and then just let everybody get home. Those are my type of nickels. I need quick. I need footwork. I need somebody who could break on that. You're the closest to the quarterback. You're covering, your slot, who's the closest receiver that's most likely going to him at most occasions. So I need my quickest guy, my most athletic guy, and just someone who's not scared to put their nose in, because if you can't tackle, you definitely can't play nickel. I mean, what if they're just going to run outside zone, and then what's going to happen? They're going to leave you as the unblocked defender, have the tackle get up to the Mike's linebacker or guard, get up to him and seal him and go straight to the safety and leave you one-on-one to make a play. Are you going to make that play? Because that's what offensive coordinators are doing. You think they just say, "Oh, run here," and boom, boom. They think they just, if one guy's unblocked, we'll just make sure you have to make that play. No, they design it for the person they want to be unblocked. They want corners to be the one who has to make that one-on-one tackle consistently, because most likely they might make it a couple times, but one time they miss it and boom, it's off to the races. As Miami fans, we saw that all year last year. When the corner misses the tackle, it's going for a big one. So yeah, that's my prototype nickel. I need it. I need sticky man coverage who not scared to put it in. I don't care if you thumping. You don't got to be a Finley who's a thumper. I need you to 5'10", get in and out of breaks. Slot routes are all about timing, great footwork, setting up leverage. I need someone who is sticky in man coverage. I like that Ewald's in there, to be honest with you, because he has impeccable footwork, great footwork. That's what's going to help you out in the slot. You don't got footwork, it's going to be hard, bro. It's hard. A lot of these slot receivers, you can't touch them nowadays either. So it's hard, man. You got to be super quick.
Another little thing that we were talking about before, something you really don't know when you're looking at a guy from high school unless you're there, with eyes on him. But it seems like in recent memory, the switch for a lot of corners coming out in the draft have been putting a lot of focus on the arm length of the corners versus overall height of the corners, versus back when they were battling those 6'3", 6'4" receivers all over the NFL. So the arm length, those things like that too. How much stock do you put in that when you're evaluating a kid, things like that? More than
I like my corners either outside or inside. I like inside corners 5'10", 5'11". I don't care for the 6'2" outside corner, 6'3". He's so big. Man, can he move, bro? This is a new day and age, man. These route concepts, bro, you got to be able to move, bro. You miss at the line of scrimmage with somebody with these up-to-date releases, bro. Or can you recover? Can you do this? I don't care how big you are, bro. Coach had died. A lot of fans didn't like him. His recruiting stuff, can't nobody talk about his on-field development, obviously, why he's in the NFL now. But his type of corner, we all know, 5'10", athletic, can man cover. And if you give up a 50-50 ball, that's okay, because the percentage of that happening often is not. We didn't see Daryl Porter get beat with a 50-50 ball until literally the last game of the year in Syracuse, bro. Yeah, 2 years of just not getting beat by 50-50 balls, bro. That's just because the percentages are not in their favor of offense, bro. They're 50-50 when they start out. Then there's so much stuff that happens in the course of the play that could tilt the percentage of chances either way. So I like that. That's my type of corner, to be honest with you. I like fast, quick corners who could stick in man coverage, bro. If you get beam topped, do you want a taller corner? Yeah, but if this dude jumping up here, man, finish the play and go through his hands. He got to come down. He got to come down eventually. Mm-hmm. So fight through, be a dog. That's my type of corner. That's what I preference. I think that's where the game is trending to. There's still those nice outside corners that are big and, and they can move, but they're unicorns. Other than a Sauce Gardner, you get more. There's more productive Asante Samuel Jr. type corners than those big guys nowadays, because it's just hard, bro. It used to just be a big receiver with just no releases, nothing, just run downfield on straight athleticism. So a good 6'2", 6'3" corner could, I'm bump and run with him. They get killed now.
Yeah, because a lot of the receivers, you go through the top Like if you named your top 5 NFL receivers, I would bet that none of them are taller than 6'2". I bet none of them are 6'3". Like a lot of the smaller guys that can move on routes like crazy and get separation, that 6'1", that 210, like that seems to be the sweet spot for receivers in modern day.
Yeah, imagine I'm this 6'2", 220-pound corner. That's not a Tyreek Stevenson, because Tyreek's is a different animal. That's the unicorns that can do it.
Yeah.
But I got to cover Jerry Jeudy for 4 quarters. Oh, my God. You're getting cooked, bro. I got to cover Justin Jefferson. Or, man, I got to cover it don't matter, bro. A Devontae Adams, bro. They are going to freaking abuse my 6'2" ass. Like, they are going to abuse me, bro. It's going to be cha-cha in the end zone. Like, oh, my God.
Yeah, so it's an interesting spot, and like if it were up to you, Steve, just knowing like the personnel we have, like safeties, I feel like we have a pretty good idea, consider even if it's like a top 3, top 4. But if you had to go out there and roll out your starting corners and a starting nickel based upon the personnel that we have, like what would you be leaning towards?
OJ ain't really been full go all spring, so he's kind of been out. But like if I was thinking, that he was healthy, I'm thinking he's in there, to be honest with you. But I haven't seen him compete, obviously full go. But we know what we have in OJ, so there's no rush with that.
Right.
I would say I think Lucas is for sure locked down a starting spot. I mean, not just off hype or buzz, just off every day. I think the coaches are happy that he's a Hurricane. Mm-hmm. I mean, every day there's something else to be happy about. And when you're consistent, that's all you need. That's your resume. Every day, you're getting better. So I would say Lucas probably locks that in with OJ. And it's a battle because I think O'Connor can play nickel. Uh-huh. Does he maybe potentially beat out OJ for an outside spot? I don't know. But O'Connor could definitely play in and out. He's that 5'10", 5'11" guy who can go inside and out. It has great zone, great eyes on quarterback. So stuff like that could work. But so I would say starting, I don't know. I'm going to go Brantley at nickel to start. That might be my favorite corner that's not from here. Brantley at nickel, OJ and Lucas outside would be mine right now. But obviously, we haven't seen OJ compete. But that's a little hometown, and plus I've been telling you about OJ before he even transferred to St. Thomas.
Yeah.
So that would be that, and then at safety, I think that's a little easier. I think we all know Poitier is going to start, and then that second one that's where it get iffy at because there's a couple guys who really could. You have young guys who are flashing. Don't know if they come out and start week 1 versus Notre Dame. I don't think so. To be real with you. So that's like an Amari Wallace, a young guy who's flashing a lot. But does he come out and start immediately day 1 versus Notre Dame? I don't know. Don't think so. You would have a guy like a Markeith Williams. I remember when I was telling you, I was like, y'all going to start hearing this smoke about Markeith Williams. And then guess what? People start talking about it because word starts to spread from when these guys who work in media and all this stuff, they call me all the time. Yo, hey, what did you see in practice? And then, everybody who's there is telling you, hey, 15 look good. 15 look good. He's not small no more. You could imagine like so much stuff that can change when you're confident in your body and you're confident in your work ethic and you're confident in everything. Like imagine, being 160, trying to do the things they're trying to tell you to do, bro. That's hard, bro. And everybody would be like, oh man, he was a bust. Nah, bro, his body just developed just a little bit later than they projected, but now he's playing really well. Do I think he starts? Yeah, I would put him in, honestly, with what he was. From what I saw, limited probably 2 or 3, and on a scrimmage, I would say, he's been consistent, and I think that would light a fire under Zaquan because he should be out of the stratosphere playing right now. But again, new coach in his ear, relearning stuff, stuff. So I would look for Zaquan to maybe pop in fall camp and just instead of right away, especially since he had some time out. I seen him doing with sprints and stuff. So he hasn't been full go either. So as of right now, I'd say, yeah.
So we'll see what happens. That's interesting to hear it come down that way with, but yeah, new staff, from the DB position specifically, but new defensive staff. And then you would think that there's a lot of guys that maybe we assumed certain things about are getting new opportunities to go and make their stake. And as much heat as Markeith has taken over his time, if this is it, and with all, I mean, just thinking back to when he committed, like when we were talking about him as a recruit, like the just overwhelming positivity about the kind of player he was and like what he could be. I think your comment about maybe a little bit of a slower physical development than we expected is really fair. Because when he gets to where we thought, then I would imagine we're all going to be pretty happy with the product that we see. So
Yeah.
but that's one of those things. Yeah.
His only issue was he was too small. So everybody like Todd with this comment from that I seen, dude can't tackle a cheerleader. That's a little excessive, but last year we saw him tackling. To be honest, I mean, we knew who were the non-tackling safeties on the roster last year. I'm telling you right now, he tackled way better than I thought he would, and then the people that started off the season in front of him. So he's definitely getting better. I don't know if I would say he's 200, but I'd say he's comfortably over 190, which is huge because he probably came in at 150, 160, bro.
Yeah,
like legit skinny.
190 on him, I think, is going to look like a world different than what we're used to.
Yeah, no, he looked good. I'm just saying, like. And he looked good. And I like, obviously, when you see it yourself instead of hearing about it, it's a lot easier in my head. I'm like, yeah, bro, he looked good. But to somebody here just sitting there and be like, I don't know. This is, because it'd be another green tree guy, warrior, or this or that. But I've seen steady development in his time here. From his first spring when Mark Fletcher ran him over and everybody was like, oh, my God, that was like a freaking toothpick over there to right now. I mean, bro, it's night and day.
Yeah,
it's night and day.
All right, well, optimism, I think, abounds, and I wish we could watch Saturday and see some of this progress. But are you going to
air the spring game?
No, not going to be on TV. So unless you got a camcorder, you're bringing with you, Steve.
Low key, I think that's the right decision. I'm not going to say why I feel that's the right decision. I'll leave that up for interpretation, but I think that's the right decision.
Worried about some
No,
talent?
I'm not worried about nobody transferring. I'm not worried about any of that. That's going to happen regardless if somebody's seen them. If anybody thinks these guys are looking at spring game tape to get a transfer, they're out their damn mind, bro. They're not looking at spring. You might just go crazy and make some crazy viral plays in the spring game, and yeah, that can help boost your stock. But bro, they're not breaking down your spring game film, bro, to be like, can I take him, bro? They're looking at body types and looking what they need at gaps and rosters for that, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Then most of those are off connections, bro. They're not going to be like, oh, I saw this guy at Miami spring game going crazy. I'm gonna offer him. Like, come on, bro. Like, nah, bro. It goes by connections, dog. Who in my program has it? Somebody's in your camp has their ear. Like, that's how that goes. Word to mouth, bread to pocket. That's how that works. So I'm not really worried about that. And if people want to go, they can go. There's a lot of programs that are probably scared of that. Mario will probably show you that door, baby. Oh, what? Yeah. Caught you a little tutty in the spring game in the fourth quarter. You ready to go, huh? Okay. I don't think Mario too worried about that.
I got to tell you, Steve, bread to pocket, it's maybe my favorite saying you've had in a long time. Bread to pocket is good. You got to use that over and over again. But so I mean, obviously, like, are you going to be there for the spring game, Steve?
I could, but I don't think so. Is this Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll be out of town again. So yeah, I'll be out.
All right, so let's just say afterwards, like maybe like highlights leak out, this, that, whatever. Like, are there any guys that you would expect to have information come out to be like, yeah, I'm not surprised he popped. I'm not surprised that he made some plays. Guys that maybe just hearing word about so far through the spring that like, hey, when in a big state, relatively big stage, I can see this guy making some plays.
There's a bunch I'm gonna list off, but I think the first one's gonna be CJ Daniel, just because people are gonna be so anxious to see what he's like at full go. He looks good, man. Like, I know he was off to the side, he was doing his thing, but I mean, you could tell he's been in college 5 years because he's physically developed as you could be. I mean, he looks like a great wide receiver coming off the bus and working out. I've seen him going through his route warming up. I seen how the players you don't just group around him and he's telling what's up. Like, they got eyes on him. So the respect factor that he has, the accountability that he has, I think everybody's going to be happy to hear that, hey, he's full go and he's already making plays. I think he's going to help. Everybody talks about the struggling quarterback play. I think having that type of guy could save you. You know what I'm saying? We saw versus Florida State, Emory, and versus Clemson, he's not scared to throw that 50-50 ball down the sideline. So maybe a guy that could, not professional 50-50 ball getter, but that tape say I go up and get them balls, bro. Like, so that could probably help out, stuff going on like that. So I would hope that you hear, CJ coming in, even if it's just, oh, he made a crazy catch or this or that. I just feel like that's someone I'm confident of hearing because he just goes about his business in a really professional manner. Those type of guys, they don't have off days very often. Everybody's human, but they don't. Those type of guys, that work ethic, they stay on point.
And honestly, a lot of people say like, oh, at Liberty he was this, and then at LSU was I mean, if you go back, maybe stat wise, but LSU is LSU, and Nussmeier was far from consistent last year with like getting the ball out to him. You could argue that the quarterback play he was getting at Liberty was better than what he was getting at LSU last year, with Caden Salter and all. But
a lot of mouths to feed too, though, bro.
Yeah, a lot of mouth.
I mean, you would say Arroyo didn't have much more than CJ Daniels, and you wouldn't be looking at that because you have the context. You had Jacoby, you had Horton, you had X, you had this. LSU's the same thing, bro. I mean, that receiver core is stupid. I mean, one of those guys might be going to jail for murder, but other than that, he was literally killing people out there. But that's a great receiving core. So I don't look at it that much and be like, oh, you didn't have that much production because, bro, let's be real, bro. It could be anybody's game. He's just like Jacoby had a stretch where it was him or go. Then it's back to X dominated this game. And then you had games where Horton was just taking over. That's just where the football is going where it needs to go. So I'm not too much there about his Liberty stats are more. He going for 1,000+ yards down to 500. So I get the casual take on that, but it's just the byproduct of spreading the ball around.
Yeah, it's kind of the nature of the beast, right? And when he was catching the ball, I mean, you could tell the kid can make plays. Like he knew how to get the ball and do something with it once he had the opportunities to.
Strong catches over the middle of the field. I don't care who's at quarterback. That's gonna ease your mind. Big body, strong over the middle. I mean, you can't be late and you can't be over in the overthrow in the middle. So having a 6'4" guy that can go up there and turn a 50-50 ball into an 80-20 or just, hey, I got this linebacker, but he's not looking. Let me just fit it right over the top of him right now. I got eyes locked with CJ. He knows I'm quitting this right here. Boom, boom. And that type of stuff. So regardless of if he's a 1,000+ yard receiver, we need that size over the middle. I mean, I think he's going to have a big year. I think it's going to be a 700+ type of year for him. But we'll just see.
Yeah, it's a matter of time and kind of see how things develop. People want to criticize the no touchdowns, but I mean, they had good players out there catching the ball. So it's not like it was just random. Lacey had 9 himself. That was, a third of them. He's got a lot of other mouths to feed, and he threw less than 30 touchdowns on the season than Nussmeier. So, we're not talking about Cam out there throwing touchdowns. If Cam Ward was his quarterback,
I would have still liked for him to get him 1 out of 30. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you on that, but at the same time, like it's not my all be all. So I'm just not gonna say, oh, he didn't have no tutties, so he's trash. But I would have preferred if he had a couple out of them 30s. I'm just saying, like, I get y'all. I ain't finna just act brand new, but that just doesn't tell the whole story. Is what I'm getting behind.
Yeah, so we'll see. And the story that for him will be written next year.
Nussmeier was the backup quarterback there for 2 years, waited his turn. He's been throwing with these guys for 3 years. So, of course, he's more comfortable in red zone situations and just normal than some guy who just came from Liberty. So that's what it is, bro. I'm not going to go too much into it. But I would hope he's a guy that you hear. You're going to hear Malachi Toney for sure because when he gets in, them DBs can't cover him. Then maybe somebody on defense – here that wouldn't be surprised about outside the obvious like Lucas or Bain.
Maybe some young guys on like the front 7.
I'm thinking somebody who might consistently. I think I'm confident I'll hear Hayden Lowe's name. I think I'm confident Hayden Lowe's gonna play. He looks like a mammoth, bro. I mean, He looks like that guy that's getting blown up on Twitter for that routine, the morning routine. He look like that guy. He looked like that guy. I mean, you see Hayden Lowe, bro. There's no way he wasn't in the college program before he got to Miami, because, bro, that is crazy. I mean, dog. Imagine being the guy, because, all the guys got to go over there and take these shirts and, like, their boxers and stuff. But imagine being the guy taking these pictures and be like, yo, hey, call Mario over here, bro. Call Mario over here, bro. Y'all say he what? Nah, bro. He's 265, bro. Come on, stop playing. Look at this man. Blow on it. The Polaroid, he can't even fit on it. Yo, that is a big boy.
Hey, I mean, if young guys getting a chance to get out there, I love to see it. Hayden Lowe, especially. The more young guys get opportunities on the defensive line, I think the better off we'll be. So if these guys are earning their spots early, especially like get some minutes in the spring game, may get like the tape popping a little bit. Then for fall camp, you've already set a tone for what to expect from you. I mean, that's our best case scenario, are the young guys, the 4 or 5 star guys, stepping up on that D-line and being great, because our defenses are always best when the defense, especially like the interior of the defense, is making some plays. So that's always going to be a vital part of our success, because like you said before, then the DB's job gets a lot easier. They can go out and worry about making plays. So definitely something you're looking forward to.
Yeah, something I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for something positive at receiver. I just hate how fans take defenses are always ahead of offenses in spring, even when you have a returning, coordinator, bro. It's just a lot easier to make plays on defense because there's so much timing aspects and this and that goes into a play on offense, bro. It really is. So there's a lot of people, coming at our quarterbacks, Emery, Judd. People not coming at Luke. Obviously, he's 10 practices in, 12 practices in. I just want to hear something. I just want to hear something positive about him. I just want that the fan base to just go, okay, this guy's throwing this. Emery had this big splash touchdown to whatever player it is, or Judd threw this perfect, back shoulder fade to Josh Moore late, or Luke Nichols hitting Malachi Tony deep on a post and everybody's going crazy. I just want, there to be some type of moment for each quarterback for us to be like, okay, boom, they made a play. Just to kind of reverse that mojo that's going on with the fan bases. I mean, I haven't really been in the fan base Twitter that much. I've been, traveling, but they talking crazy about the quarterbacks, bro. I'm like, I've been there. It's not horrendous, my boy. Like, obviously, it's not Cam Ward, but like, chill, bro. You act like we don't got D1 quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's I think it's natural for them because they haven't had a chance to really see much, and they're just going off. They're basically saying, I saw Emery in the bowl game, and if they're not above Emery, then this is what it must be. But only time will tell. And Carson Beck throwing. He's throwing the football now, not during practice, but he is throwing as part of his rehab. So, like, you could see that tunnel, that light, we're getting closer and closer and closer. So,
I think we mentioned it last week. I was like, you're going to tell you. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said it that early, but I'm like, you're going to start hearing that, he's ready. He's getting ready to go. He's going to start throwing it. And I was told by, someone on staff that said that. And, I think everything's on pace with that. I think they were slow playing. I think he was ready already, but it's just perfect timing to get him in. And then boom, spring game, blah, blah, blah. Let's get this done. Now, Carson, let's continue working, So I think the timing's perfect. I think everything is good with him, man. There's one thing that University of Miami has that a lot of other schools don't, is we have a damn hospital that is one of the best. So if you got a player coming in from the portal and you want to feel good about, his timeline, there's not much places better than University of Miami. So we've had a couple guys with injuries that, I've popped after. So I trust the medical staff and whatever they're doing, and he's okay, bro. This is his 5th spring or 4th spring. He don't need it, bro. He'll be all right. He need to get into the IPF, maybe outside, start throwing with these receivers as soon as he's able to go. Don't overwork it. You got to crawl before you walk, and then once you walk, you start jogging, then you start running. But I would hope he starts getting some familiarity with the receivers all off season, just, strictly, workouts. He's an older guy. He's going to have these workouts. He's not, he's not stupid. He knows his draft stock relies on, some of these guys going out there and making plays for him, making them look good, or just not dropping a perfect pass and making him, lose stats and stuff. So he'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen, I'm in years past, sure, you want to call it like you need spring practice to get guys acclimated, but like we've seen how college football works in recent years. Like the amount of time that these guys spend together in the off season, like between spring practice and what will eventually be fall practice, is astronomical. So the stories from Cam Ward calling people, telling them to leave workouts with NFL receivers, NFL quarterbacks, like, no, you got to work out here with me. That kind of stuff, like that, I think is going to be something that was instilled last year that's going to keep going. That's part of that Cam Ward effect, as we'll see. But I'm not worried at all about Carson getting opportunities to throw to some of these dudes over the next, 6 months or 5 months. Like we'll get plenty of those opportunities.
Yeah, get those in. So those aren't coming in, trying to get familiarity during practice. I would love for them to already have that and then start gaining ground, because let's be real. I mean, we got Notre Dame week 1, bro. This ain't no, hand the ball off, maybe a couple pass plays, bro. The whole playbook's available, bro. We got Notre Dame week 1. Yeah. So there's not no conservative game plan that we're used to seeing first week, because obviously we usually how the schedule goes, so that playbook got to be out there, full go. So you would hope that, he starts getting in that timing with his receivers, getting in just a feel for each other. Hey, how does he like me to run this? Does he want me at 7? Does he want me here? Does he just want me to say F it and just turn around and give him my pads? Let him see my numbers. Does he just want me to do that? There's a lot of things that guys you just want your quarterback to feel as comfortable as possible. If I'm a receiver, I want my quarterback to feel as comfortable as possible, because he just needs to do his job and I'm going to do my job. So if I can make his job just a little bit easier, or do something that can help him, because we're running one route. We're a part of a bigger thing. He's responsible for that whole big thing. So if he's asking you to do something, or he likes it this way, as a receiver, that repetition helps you, because you'll just it'll be muscle memory. You just do it that way. So I'm hoping they get that type of stuff. You think Cam and Carson throw together in off season? I don't know. I mean, that I would assume they could, but with the draft coming up, I don't know. If I'm Cam, I'm in whatever city. Not whatever city. I'm in Tennessee. I'm in Tennessee, so I don't know. I don't know how that goes.
It would probably be more of like a both happen to be at the same time, like at the IPF, just working out kind of a thing. But Cam will probably be in Tennessee for the heavy majority of his time. You never know.
He might be there right now, like for all we
buying
know.
A house, so
I don't know. That would be cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure they would love the content of Carson and Cam throwing together, but I don't know if the timing matches, because I mean, bro, the draft's in like 20 days. He's about to start like ramping it up, throwing in the next couple of weeks. I mean, draft night. Hey, I'm here. I'm on a plane.
Yeah,
and it's not like, oh, I got to book a flight. No, them boys sending a jet for you, bro. You the number 1 overall pick.
Is Cam going to be at the draft? Did he announce that yet?
I don't know. I think the NFL is probably going to try to get you to go, because they, they wouldn't want the number 1 overall player not going. But I mean, I if he wants to be with his family and stuff like that, I think that's better anyway. But hey, you only get drafted once. So if you want to go shake the commissioner's hand, you're number 1 overall, like, do it. But if he says F it, I want to be with my family in Texas, then good for him. But I don't know if he's commented on it. But I know the NFL is going to do everything in their power to try to get him to go.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard this, but can you believe that the Titans are not going to wear their Oiler throwbacks next year during his rookie season?
There's a report on that?
Yeah, they're apparently only going to wear their light blue, like current jerseys. They're not going to wear even the dark blue, only their light blue for home games. That came out. There was people are assuming that's what it meant when they made a tweet about it. But like, could you imagine if they have a rookie number 1 overall pick and they don't throw the Oilers unis on him one time? I would demand a trade if I was Cam.
They're gonna do something, bro. No one cares, bro. They're not gonna wear. They can't wear the same uniform on home and away games. There's gonna be different jerseys, but I mean, whatever, bro. I think that's just some stupid stuff they putting out. This man start throwing that ball up and down, and you want to sell some jerseys. They gonna do what they do, man.
Fair enough. But that'll do it for us. Speaking of selling jerseys
right now.
That's what matters. As long as they're selling it, I guess I'm okay. But so we gotta get.
Yeah, nah, you gotta get that. But it is what it is. They could, you gotta think about it from their perspective. Do they want to have Cam Ward push that Oilers stuff and everybody just want to eat that Oilers stuff up, or they want to keep with their new identity and have Cam Ward push that up? So it's the flip side of every coin.
Fair enough, Steve-O. Bread to pockets after all, right?
Yeah, I just seen Darian talk with him for a little bit this last tournament up in Orlando. He looked good, man. He's always so good. He's always so active. Balled out at Elite 11, came through, was just dropping dimes on people. Yeah, Darian's a good one. Good kid too, really good. I hope if he becomes a stud quarterback, that we get more Polk County kids. A lot of people think Darian's from Orlando. No, he's from Lakeland. He's from Polk County. He played at Fort Meade and transferred over to Jones. I don't know that. I'm not gonna touch that. I think Larry liked that. But people got to understand the receiving board is a slower transition than other positions. I think when it comes to receiver, you have really good relationship with Larry. We were that first big offer, all that stuff, but it's just such a big board at receiver because this is a loaded class. 26 is loaded. So I don't know if they're not going hard on Larry. I just think that because I know they're openly recruiting a good amount of receivers, but not taking commitments right now because it's a good amount that they're recruiting, and we have a lot of mutual interest with a lot of big-time guys.
Yeah.
You're talking about, Gump, play with us, CJ. I mean, bro, you not want the 5-star here in Miami Northwestern, so they're putting them resources there. Like, there's a lot of stuff going a lot of ways, but I don't think they're not, like, going hard on him. I just don't think to expect a receiver commitment right now because there's just so much guys that actually are. Look at what happened last year, bro. We're going through it right now with all these other big teams that have been doing it. They see the receiver production, bro. Guess what? There's a lot more receivers that like Miami now than they did a couple years ago, bro. That's just what it is, bro. So I don't think it's that they're not going hard on them. It's just so much more interest at the receiver position just because of, the production, the X and Jacoby, even Sam Brown. Like, everybody came in at 8. There was no, oh, man, you ain't getting no stats here.
Yeah. A couple other questions jumped in there. Yes, from Ian Coleman. Are we getting Jordan Campbell? He just transferred to the West.
Yeah, he's locked in. He ain't even visiting nowhere. That's a great kid. That is a great young man. He's going places outside the football field, but he is a freak. So once his playing days are over, he'll probably have to put up some good numbers. But yeah, Teddy getting a lot of people. The West about to be a factory. I heard somebody else going over there, but I ain't gonna do that. Booker T might be mad, but me.
Little tiny sliver of something there, Steve-O. But Caesar asking, what does Steve think about the Orlando area athletes?
I mean, bro, obviously I'm from South Florida. I get the end, but I like Orlando athletes. I mean, they're not like a less caliber than South Florida. I just think they don't. When I'm just working down here with them, so I'm just so close with them. But there's some lit ones from Orlando. We had one Tyrone Marquis from Orlando. A lot of good players in Orlando. Marcus Clark, a personal friend of mine, great athlete, came out of Winter Park. So good athletes in Orlando. I think the population is booming in Orlando. I think you're starting to get more and more good players in that Central Florida area. As these areas get more populated, you're able to get recruits on them the way social media is now. So I like Orlando. I like Orlando, like Tampa, Orlando, and then down. Those are my type of guys. Then you have some Jacksonville. Jacksonville's steady. They have the number 1 receiver in 2028, B-Fry. That's Bryson Wright, if you don't know, but he's at Mandarin. He's going to be the number 1 receiver in 2028 for sure. He plays with us. He's starting. We had to cut 26. Like, I'm talking about a top 100 kid in his feelings because you got B-Fry just coming out. You're like, bro, we not taking him out, fam. I'm sorry. Do you not see this man on OT7 going crazy? Just had 5 tutties, bro. I'm sorry. We're not subbing him out right now, bro. Like, don't look at me. So yeah. I like that Tampa down and then dip in Duval County because they got some good talent up there in Jacksonville for sure. If you're not hitting that well, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, just another opportunity to get talent from wherever you can. I mean, we've seen it so far with the class and 2026, and I think it's only going to get better as we get closer and closer to, the winter signing day forever ago. But, we'll see how it all shakes out. But big weekend, the opportunity to get information about the spring game, see how it goes next week. We'll talk about it, and then we'll be able to kick over, hopefully, some more commitments here and there. And obviously, you get to talk about Cam a little bit more, especially in the next 2 weeks as we get into the draft and some other stuff going there too.
It's extremely disappointing how we recruit and throw numbers at all. We got to think about it like this, though, fam. It's easier to get these big developmental guys in our offensive line and then go get our big fish. Yo, D tackle is a pricey position, my boy. You can't just go and throw numbers at that. You talking different numbers. You want a D tackle, baby. You throwing different numbers, bro. I'm telling you, it's a wait and play game, bro. Elite defensive linemen are just not popping right now. It's not like, you see them popping. Man, Ohio State just got this 5-star D tackle. Bro, they are available right now, and that phone is available. You want to call? All right, what's good? It's not about how much numbers at the position. It's about the right number to get that boy to slide because D tackle is definitely there's definitely a little something different going on with defensive line. But it's just like the NFL, bro. Quarterbacks, D-line, bro. You can change the game every play. Offensive line, get in that bag, bro.
Yeah.
Get in that bag.
Who throws the ball, who hits the guy that throws the ball, who protects the guy that throws the ball. Those tend to be the money positions.
Yep.
It has been for years and years. So, well, we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to throw at D tackle than at O line, to be real. Because bro, we're going big game hunting on D line. We're not taking. You take maybe one development guy, like an Ahmad Moten that is going to be a guy that you could develop and he'll be a good player for you. A Dalen Russell who's on that same path as an Ahmad Moten. But
on this point from New King God, you can talk about what's easier all day long, but in my mind, it's a lot easier to find a guy in offensive line and develop him into being solid as part of a core of 5 than to find someone that's special at defensive tackle. There's a reason why all those 5-star guys at D tackle, even if they're okay in college, still go in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft, right? The special traits there, those don't go away.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that, let's be real. We've recruited big D tackles that ain't really do nothing. I don't want to call no names because they're still on the roster, but let's be real. Like, we done had those 6'5" guys that, oh my God, they're 300 plus. They're gonna be an NFL guy. And we still clock's ticking on a guy like a Horton who came in and he has that pedigree with all that size, and we're thinking that he could probably be a big time player. Injuries have slowed that down, so he wasn't the player in mind when I was thinking about just being big for nothing. But we've had some of those guys, and we're now a new defensive tackle coach and new fresh start. Obviously, your D-line coach is still Jason Taylor. But you have now a guy who's going to be working specifically with you in your ear than the guy who was just there with Coach Joe. So everybody got to relearn. If they had some bad habits or grind those out. If they had good habits, we're going to keep grinding on that. But it's a lot harder to develop a D tackle that just has the size. Because D tackle, in my opinion, you just got to be a dog, bro. You have to have a different type of mentality. Or else you'll fizzle out like a Leonard Taylor, who a lot of fans come on all the time. I don't like to talk ish about our players, but he could have been better than what he was at Miami. So talent isn't everything. You got to recruit the mentality of that D-line. That's probably one of the corners and D tackles, like and D-line. Like, you have to have that dog mentality. You have to, because corner you're going to get beat and you have to bounce back. And then D tackle, your job is to go against 300 plus guys every snap. Like, you better be crazy. Like, there better be something like borderline. Hey, I don't know about him. Like, we cool, but I don't know about him. Like, there got to be something like that,
Yeah, could very easily have found the right coach to help get that out of guys. You get a guy that's been there before, in the whole thing. He's reached a pinnacle for Miami and at a really rough time for Miami in their history. But maybe Damian Lewis could be that guy that kind of pulled that out of him, because he certainly was, when he played here, that kind of guy you're talking about. And he played around a lot of other dudes that were similar.
Yeah, I hope so. And I hope we pull out some of these, high school recruits, because, it's D tackle is probably D line is probably one of the crown jewel portal, gets. You can get a guy on D line, but I would love to see some of these high school guys just take that next step. Justin Scott, a lot of these guys take that next step. So, we don't have to hit that portal as hard looking for starters. We can maybe hit that portal looking for, depth.
Right. Which we've done in recent years, like always finding like some D tackles that can play, not looking for a ton from them. But the more you need from those guys, and the more it is like an indictment of what you've had in high school classes, because those guys aren't ready yet. I think that's kind of what you were implying before about some of these guys. Like, we kind of expected it to be there a little bit. It hasn't been. But hey, like you said, new coaching staff, new system, new all that. Great opportunity abounding right here. Great opportunity abounding. But we'll see how it goes. See how it goes in the near future here. See how it goes at the spring game this weekend. But before we get out of here, as we know, Steve, I've got to finish up with final thoughts for the people.
Enjoy. I was going to say enjoy the spring game, but nobody will be. I'll be out of town, so I wouldn't see it either. Just take the Nuggets and just run with them. Just have fun. It's off season. It's about to be dry out here in these streets, dog. It's about to be dry out here in these streets, bro, after this spring game. So so absorb it. Absorb all the nuggets you can. Yeah. And, be ready for this season. I think this might be, I know it's cliche to say, but just everywhere we look at position-wise, we're big and strong and fast at running back, at tight end, at O-line, at D-line, at linebacker. Maybe we got to get a little bit bigger there, but we got some size with West and Popo coming out. You would love to see what Bobby's, Pruitt and Bobby Washington, when he's healthy, fully look like when they're developed, because that might be a scary duo. Like, oh my God. That might be a scary duo with Bobby and Bobby. Like, double Bobby's in the middle. Like, they might catch a body. So everybody looks good, man. Looks the part. I've been to all these like Texas A&M's, the FM, but Alabama's, the Floridas. I've been to all these practices and campuses when we're visiting, these schools, and we finally look like, hey, there's not one position group that just looks smaller than all these other guys. Like legit, just across the board. We ain't got no midgets. We ain't got, it's looking good. So final thoughts is I think we're going to have a great year. Enjoy the spring game. I hope no one just gets hurt. And that's it.
Yeah. Pray for health. Get out of there healthy. And it's a win for the whole roster. It's a win for the fans. So number one, most important thing, get out of that thing healthy and move on to next week. Move on to Carson Beck throwing passes to a real wide receiver watch, which will probably take us over the next 2 months of like trying to find grainy video of someone out there getting that. But
yeah, someone's gonna get a video of Carson Beck throwing with the receiver, with a quarterback coach or something down here. I mean, there's no way you go this long without throwing, and someone's not gonna pull a phone out and be like, "Oh, look at the progress, Carson Beck." It's gonna be like a 5-second video, just and everybody's gonna blow up about it. But it's gonna happen. So yeah, blow it up. I'm gonna blow it up too.
Yep.
But yo, you seen that drop, man?
Smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth.
He just threw his receiver open on air.
Can't wait, Steve-O. But that'll do it for us. For Bill, who had to run, had child issues, but they're all good on that part. For Steve-O, I'm Chris. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. Thank you to D-Money and everybody that helps us do the thing. Thank you to you guys for tuning in and jumping in the chat. We'll see you guys next week right here on 3 Loud Canes. Good week.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. He's a stud, that Brown, number 98. Irvin's got it. Irvin's free. Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big games.